Hi, everybody. Coach Tiffany here. I think I'm fighting something off, so hopefully I won't be too low energy and boring today. So I wanted to hop on and just talk about why diets don't work. So I was involved in a thread about health coaching recently, and then a friend of mine actually posted about weight loss struggles, and it was really interesting. Someone actually posted a link with many, or a comment with many links to just studies that show that diets don't work, and that insurance actually won't cover diets because they didn't find any that were effective. I think it was like 3%. They're effective like 3% of the time. And so, you may notice a lot of people will drop weight and then they gain the weight back. Sometimes they gain that weight plus. Or they'll drop weight on a diet and, have to transition into very kind of longer term restrictive eating. And unfortunately, restrictive eating leads to that pendulum swing. So, you restrict, and then your body, either because of lack of calories or lack of satisfaction, or for whatever reason, maybe you're having a stressful day and you didn't prepare your food, right? You fall off the wagon, so to speak. And so actually my next blog is going to be a little bit about this, kind of this idea of like extreme eating. So like, restricting and then kind of falling off the wagon, or, the different option is to make long-term sustainable changes. And that starts with really slow and steady. But I was just talking with somebody this morning about how, the problem is that weight is a symptom. It's not the actual problem. It feels like the problem, but it's just a symptom of something else. And so, we have an over desire or an over hunger for food, and that is really because of hormonal issues. It's because of lack of sleep. It's because of our gut bacteria. If we have some unhealthy kind of balance of gut bacteria, then we'll crave carbohydrates more. And that's something that's, completely out of our control, right? So a lot of times we blame ourselves and we say, oh, I don't have enough willpower and I eat emotionally. But what it turns out is that actually, your body's giving you signals to eat this way for a reason. And so we have to get to the underlying causes and address those. I just had a client post a lovely testimonial, and she talked about that, she had some fibroids that were causing her to have some hormone issues and be anemic, and she wasn't getting any sleep. And so when she came to me, initially we talked about food, and it was like, well, really the problem, something is driving you to want to eat, this way. Oh, hi there. So, that's one way that a coach can be really helpful, is looking at specifically what's going on for you. My background is in nursing. I'm an RN. And oh, hi, Casey. Hi, Catherine. And so, oh, hi there. So, having someone to support you in that. But if you're wanting, if you're not feeling like you're ready for that level, really just starting to remove the judgment and look at what's going on with me and my body, what's causing me to have these cravings. Maybe you're staying up late and, you're getting kind of wanting to munch on things, and then you're not getting enough sleep. And then the next day you're not feeling good. And then you're wanting to eat like a bagel or quick carbs in the morning. And, so looking at what's going on physiologically in your body, but also what's going on just logistics. So, dieting, it seems like that's the answer, but that would only be the answer if weight was the root cause, and weight isn't the root cause. There's a symptom there. Weight is a symptom of some greater problem. So I'll try to drop some of those links to why diets don't work, or to the studies that show that diets don't work, in the comments. And I just want to encourage you all to know that your body is wise, and understand that, the weight, if you're struggling with weight or even food cravings, maybe you're a healthy normal, or maybe you're a weight that you're comfortable at, but you're having food cravings. Those are symptoms of something else going on. So letting go of the judgment and recognizing that our bodies are unique, and that, there's something going on with our bodies physiologically that cause us to have those cravings and have those struggles, instead of thinking that we need to do something extreme and just restrict, because that, again, doesn't work. That's just going to lead to you falling off the wagon, so to speak, and eating everything in sight and then feeling bad about yourself. So instead, getting in touch with what's going on with our bodies, seeing a healthcare professional if you don't have a good doctor. You want to find somebody, I always recommend like a naturopath, a functional medicine provider, or an integrative medicine provider that really listens to you. And they may recommend eating, like having a healing protocol or something like that. But I do often recommend just going in and saying, I want to figure out what's going on with me. Here's the cravings I'm having. Let them know that you're wanting to do more, exploratory and not wanting to necessarily eat restrictively, because even in that world, a lot of times you get the message that, oh, you just need to not eat any of these things ever again for the rest of your life. And that's just not, again, that goes back to like diets don't work, restrictive eating doesn't work, we're going to fall off the wagon. So, nutritionists can be super helpful. We actually have one here in Portland that I really like, Megan Gardner. She and I work really well together. She's over by Cedar Mills, or Cedar Hills area, at Global Integrative, and her business is Holy Gardener. So, nutritionists can make a huge difference. They can really help you to understand what's going on, with your body and work with your body. So, for example, somebody who has diabetes, they may benefit from, more protein and more veggies and lower carbohydrates, right? But then the problem is that someone else may say, well, carbs are bad. And that person maybe doesn't need to restrict carbs. In fact, I have a client that we just kind of discovered this week that she had been eating so clean and it was wonderful. She was doing really well, but actually her weight loss plateaued. She wasn't having a lot of energy. So we just looked at, what are you actually eating? She wasn't really eating any carbs at all. And so, for women, I think especially eating zero carbs can be hard on your body as well. So she added in just some like root veggies, and she added in a little bit of oatmeal, a little bit of rice. She's avoiding gluten, but just added in a little bit here and there. And she had more energy, so she was able to be more active, and her weight started to drift down again. So you're an individual, and, a prescribed diet just is not going to work. Period. Just doesn't work. And it's not your fault. You haven't failed. It's not a willpower issue. It is, physiology. So I'm going to drop those links in the comments, and I'd love to hear some of the ways that you are increasing your health and wellness and vitality and energy that aren't restrictive eating. For a lot of people, they think they need to take things away, but actually adding things in can be way more effective. So, perhaps you aren't getting a lot of nutrition. You could have a goal of adding in, starting out with 2 cups of vegetables a day, increasing to 3 cups, 4 cups, 5 cups. I guarantee you, if you're not eating a lot of vegetables and you start eating 5 cups of vegetables a day, your energy is going to be up, and you're going to be much less inclined to eat the processed foods, or, even just chewing that much, like your jaw gets tired, right? So you don't even necessarily feel like you want to, be eating even more. And also you're going to have more satisfaction, and your body's going to be feeling like it's more satisfied. Oh, Catherine says we look for 3 things to replace what we can't have. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I was just talking with someone today who had seen a practitioner who encouraged her to add in foods rather than take out foods. So she's adding in broccoli, and she's adding in cabbage, and adding in beets. So things that are going to support her wellness, instead of worrying so much about what she can't eat. And I love the idea of looking for things to replace. I just discovered a chocolate nut butter chia seed breakfast thing. Oh my gosh, it's got like protein powder. It's really clean and really healthy, and it's fantastic. So, I'm thrilled with that, and I feel like I'm getting a treat, even though I'm actually getting in some really good nutrition. Yeah, num num. All right, guys. I'm also adding recipes all the time to my website, and I add them and increase, I'm really not feeling well, so I'm trying to keep it together here. I have blogs that I send out every couple of weeks. If you're interested in getting my blogs, and recipes are included in that blog, feel free to PM me or drop your email here, or go over to my website, CoachTiffanyRN.com. And I'm going to try to hop on here about every week and just give some little tips and rant a little about things that frustrate me. One of those is that people think that it's their fault, that they don't have enough willpower, and if you read my last blog, it's all about how I think that's baloney. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.